Yes, Sol.
So in Genesis 15, God says, I have good news and I have bad news. Which one do you want first? And it's a momentous chapter. There's a unilateral covenant. He's going to have a son, and it's wonderful things. And then there is, I guess, a nightmare, or there's terror. I mean, I guess the question is, in this great moment for Abram, that he's getting this great news, God is going to give him some really bad news. Why?
It's a very good question. I think it's a bigger question. Why did the people of Israel have to go to Egypt? And then the secondary question is, why did God have to tell Abraham about it at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not sure I have good answer because I have more than one. And when you have more than one, it seems that none of them are definitely like there are no more there is no more than one answer for the question how much is 1 plus 1. Or in the Jewish version of this, that we read different books in different holidays. When the connection between the holiday and the book in which is read in the holiday is obvious, like take the book of Esther and the celebration of Purim. Okay, nobody asks why do we read the book of Esther in Purim, because the answer is obvious. But for the question, let's say, why do we read the book of Ruth in the celebration of weeks, okay, Shavuot? Or why do we read the Song of Songs in Passover? Or why do we read Ecclesiastes in the coming Sukkot? Sukkot is coming. There are many answers. And in a sense, the question of why do the people of Israel have to be formed into a nation in Egypt, there are many answers. I'll just mention a few. It starts with the fact that Abram is mistreating his Egyptian,
Yes.
and so his children and are mistreated by the Egyptian as well. But it's not only that. If we want to bring a message that is new, that is innovative, that is unique to the whole world, we have to come from the whole world. What do I mean, come from the whole world? If you want to lead the world in a kind of a revolution, and what the religion of Israel, what the faith of Israel is bringing to the world is a revolutionary ideas. It has to come from the cradle of civilization. So um, it comes from Mesopotamia, Abram, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and Sarah, and it comes from Egypt, because these are the two powers, these are the two cultures that are like in the bipolar world of the Bible. These are the two places to be. Okay, these are the two cultures that are leading the world. Okay, later on we would have Greeks, we would have Romans, and so forth and so on. But in the world of the late Bronze Age, okay, that's where you have to come from in order to be considered. Okay, I've seen the world's cultures, I've seen the biggest empires, we've been there, we've learned what is there to see there. So now that we are in the land of Canaan, which is, it's in the middle, but not anywhere like it's not anywhere as important as these two, Mesopotamia and Egypt. We've been there, we've done that, we come from that place, we've seen those cultures, we have something else to offer. So there is something about going through Egypt and learning and developing and bringing something new to that. Okay. um there are other explanations as well. Part of the, the story of the covenant that is represented in verse 15, since the covenant is the promise of God. Okay, I'll give you descendants, and I'll give your descendants the land, which is basically, if you need to summarize, let's say, the stories of Abraham in one sentence, it is this twofold promise of descendants that would, and a land for these descendants, and that, and all of the hindrance in the way to fulfilling that promise. That's in one sentence all of the stories of Abram, starting from Genesis, the last verses of Genesis 11, all the way to basically the sacrifice of Isaac, and basically, if you want to go up until the the book of Deuteronomy, or the book of Joshua and Judges, depends how you want to view that. But really, as God is making that promise, God is saying, okay, you're gonna have children, you're gonna have descendants, they're gonna have the land, but it's not gonna happen now. It's gonna take some time, and only the fourth generation will return here. So that's part of that covenant. The covenant and the promise is twofold, but it's not gonna happen right now. Okay, even the question of having children, as you can see, is something that doesn't happen. God promises Abram descendants to begin with. Okay, and he has Lot. Then he sees his steward as the successor. Then he has Ishmael. Then finally, no, 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 you're going to have a child of yourself with Sarah, not just Ishmael. Okay, and then God says, sacrifice him. So the promise, this twofold promise of the land. And by the way, the same goes with the land. God tells Abram, go to the land, and he has to wander in the land, and he has to pay, and all of the wells that he is digging. Other people, Philistines or whatever, they they fill them with dirt. Okay, and even a plot of land for the burial of his wife, he has to pay, and he has to pay very good money. It's not that he's getting the land from God. God promised him, and he has to pay a lot of money to get it. So the story about this tension between the promise, the twofold promise, and the very slow, or even if at all, realization of that promise to Abram, okay, and then gradually the fulfillment of that promise is part of the whole story. So talking with him about the delayed fulfillment of that covenant is part of that theme.